The doctrine of fair use stands as a crucial pillar within copyright law, acting as a vital counterbalance to the exclusive rights granted to creators. It recognizes that unfettered copyright protection could stifle creativity, impede education, and ultimately harm the public interest by limiting access to and the development of ideas. Fair use, therefore, permits the limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the rights holders, provided such use falls within certain carefully defined boundaries. It's not a blanket exemption, but rather a flexible doctrine that requires careful consideration of specific factors on a case-by-case basis. The underlying purpose of fair use is to promote progress by fostering freedom of expression and encouraging the dissemination of knowledge. It allows for the use of copyrighted works in contexts like criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, recognizing the societal value of these activities. Imagine a film critic unable to quote from the movie they're reviewing, or a historian barred from including excerpts from primary sources in their book. Such restrictions would severely hamper intellectual discourse and limit the public's ability to engage with creative works. Determining whether a particular use qualifies as fair use is a complex undertaking, as there are no hard and fast rules. Instead, courts rely on a four-factor balancing test. The first factor considers the purpose and character of the use. Is it commercial or nonprofit? Educational or simply a reproduction? Crucially, is the new use transformative, adding new meaning or purpose to the original work, or is it merely a derivative work that substitutes for the original? Transformative use is more likely to be considered fair. The second factor examines the nature of the copyrighted work itself. Is the original work factual or creative? Is it published or unpublished? Using a factual work is generally more likely to be considered fair use than using a highly creative work, as the scope of copyright protection is often narrower for factual works. Similarly, the use of unpublished works is often viewed with greater scrutiny, as the creator has not yet had the opportunity to control the first public release of their work. The amount and substantiality of the portion used is the third factor. How much of the original work was used in relation to the whole? Was the heart of the work taken, or just a small, relatively insignificant portion? Using a small excerpt of a book in a review is more likely to be fair use than reproducing entire chapters. However, even using a small portion could be problematic if that portion is the most important or creative element of the work. Finally, the fourth factor considers the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Does the unauthorized use harm the market for the original work or its derivatives? If the use acts as a substitute for the original, thus depriving the copyright holder of potential revenue, it is less likely to be considered fair. For example, distributing unauthorized copies of a movie would clearly harm the market for that movie and would not be considered fair use. It is important to emphasize that fair use is a nuanced and evolving area of law. The four factors are not applied mechanically, but rather are weighed and balanced in light of the specific circumstances of each case. Because of this complexity, it is always advisable to seek legal counsel if you have any doubts about whether your use of copyrighted material qualifies as fair use. While the doctrine of fair use provides essential breathing room within copyright law, navigating its intricacies requires careful consideration and a thorough understanding of the relevant legal principles.